Right, little rant time. So, I've seen loads of videos floating around recently about Jubilee clips. And why it is that Jubilee clips are so terrible and why we don't use them and why we should apparently be using spring clips on everything. Now, this vehicle here, as you can see, has got spring clips on it. And it's also got Jubilee clips on it. Now, everybody says, well, not everybody, but I've come across a couple of videos where everybody says, oh, these aren't as good because they crush the pipe too much. Right. Just to be clear, if a pipe is crushed too much by this Jubilee clip, it's because you're an idiot and you did it up too tight. There is a reason that on anything with a rubber and a clamp, there is, so for instance this, look, so this is just an intake tube, so it just slips in and there's two little tabs that hold it. It's not under any pressure, it's not really under any vacuum. However, when you come over to a boost pipe, there's a ridge, so you actually don't need to do a Jubilee clip up that tight for it to hold boost, because the idea is that it clamps on these ribs, or even if it's smooth here, it will still have this bead rolled end, and the reason for that is to stop the pipe from sliding off. Because the truth of the matter is, if it was just a steel pipe, it wouldn't matter whether it was a sprung loaded clamp or whether it was a Jubilee clip done up too tight. Enough pressure would still pop that off without any problems. That's why we put barbs on things, and that's why we put lips on things, is to stop them sliding off. Even this end still has the same ridge. This pipe here, for instance, we've still got ridges, we've still got that lip at the end, and that's to help. And all this, bearing in mind this is on a 2017 vehicle, all these boost pipes are held on with Jubilee clips. Not sprung loaded, Jubilee. The advantage that Jubilee clips have, or worm drive clips, depending on where you're from in the world, the advantage that these have is you can pretty much always get in with something to undo them. Whereas these spring loaded clamps, you struggle, because you have to get a pair of pliers in, or even the cable operated ones, they're okay, but if the cable can't point in the right direction and it can't sit on square because there's stuff in the way, they don't work. And then I've had it several times where you go to replace that Jubilee clip, and as you squeeze the spring loaded ones, the ends actually snap off, and then you're screwed because you can't get them undone. The only way to do it is to get a oscillating tool or a grinder and just cut it in half to relieve the pressure. They're actually quite a nightmare. Jubilee clips tend to fail in an opposite way, where if you over tighten them, the worm gives up, but you can still undo them. I prefer the good old-fashioned Jubilee clip. Like I say, now everybody says, oh, they adjust themselves over time. The other spring-loaded ones, they adjust themselves over time. There is no reason for that to need to adjust itself on that pipe. That pipe, yes, over time will degrade, but the truth of the matter is, if it's a boost pipe, specific application of a boost pipe, for instance, or any type of pressure pipe, if that pipe's degrading, then the Jubilee clip or the sprung loaded clip is going to dig into the degraded pipe and leak anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's one clamp or the other. If the material that it's clamping is deteriorating and degrading, it doesn't matter what's gripping it. In fact, in some cases you'll even find where this style clip won't leak versus a sprung loaded clamp, because a sprung loaded clamp will bite down into the material, and as the material softens up it will grip more and dig in more into the material, whereas this will just loosen up slightly as the material becomes harder and more brittle, it'll just loosen up more and eventually start to leak. So they both have their downsides, and the reason that they actually invented those clips is just for assembly purposes. That was it, pure and simple. It was so when you were assembling engines, they could just take a pair of pliers, slot it on, let go. There was no pushing the pipe on and having to do something up. It just made the assembly line a little bit faster. That was the only reason for the invention in it. There's no more complexity to it than that. And that's my rant for the minute, because that really annoys me when people think that one clamp has some major superiority over the other. It doesn't. It's just speed. They both have their downsides. They both have their upsides. They're very similar in design, and I prefer this style clamp. And to be honest, I've never really had any problems with them. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for the next rant.